evening, everyone. Welcome to Student Career Studios Savvy Scholar Chat Series. Tonight, we have a very distinguished guest, Michael, who is an all-star student at Georgia State University. I'm so excited to chat with him tonight because he has a variety of experiences, and I thought it would be great for him to share his journey, especially coming from a non-target school. So for those who have joined us before, welcome back. And for those who are joining us for the first time, welcome. Student Career Studio is a nonprofit organization bridging the gap between opportunities and students and providing access and exposure to various scholarship, internship, and leadership opportunities. So I hope this chat today provides students as well as professionals just insight to different career opportunities and really a forum to ask questions and have dialogue, really build community and connect with others across the country in this virtual environment. So if you all have any questions throughout the session, feel free to drop those in the chat, or maybe you can come off the video and ask your question directly to Michael, but definitely want to have some dialogue here so you all can take away some gems to implement in your personal life. So thank you guys so much for spending part of your night with us tonight. And without further ado, I will kick it over to Michael for an introduction.
Thank you. And hey, everyone, how's everyone doing today? Just a quick introduction. My name is Michael Opalagwe. I attend Georgia State University. I study computer information systems, and my minor is in psychology. I previously interned at plenty of places, starting from Insight Global all the way to Amazon, Boston Consulting Group, and I'm currently at US Bank right now for my spring internship. And that's about me. And I graduate December 2021. So I'm currently still an undergrad.
Cool. So Michael, let's go back to your first couple of years at Georgia State. So as a freshman, sophomore, like when did you get that first internship? Was it your sophomore year?
So it's funny because my freshman and sophomore year, I was a completely different person. Freshman year, I was actually playing college football. So I was not focusing, like my career was like the last thing I was worried about. I was worried about trying to start on the team. And then I would say sophomore year, I decided to change, but I didn't know where to start. So I would say it was towards the end of my sophomore year when I'm not going to say it was too late, but it was towards the end of the recruiting cycle of sophomore year, I started to really buckle down on my career.
Okay, so what did that look like for you buckling down? Where you just started to attend the career fairs, getting your resume together because you were playing football. So how were you able to land that first internship and really stand out and connect with recruiters?
Yeah, so what I really did was getting the first internship was the hardest, but what I did was I took a unique approach. When you don't have any internship experience and you're only just applying, it's gonna be really hard. It was really hard. So what I decided to do was I actually reached out to people I knew personally, either through the school, professors, or even parents of the high school I graduated from. And I was able to get my very first internship by doing that, by networking internally, by just getting my very first internship. Once I had that first internship, it then paved the way to where I got to now by just networking with the people I knew personally before I started networking with recruiters, going to career fairs, and doing that stuff.
Yeah, that's a really good point, especially now that we're virtual. It's like you can't just apply online and just wait for that next email. You really have to be proactive and connect with people on LinkedIn, reach out to your network, family, friends of friends, anything really, just to try to, get your foot in the door. Maybe your friends' parents own a company that you can intern at. So I think that's an excellent point. So how are you? Were you going to say something else?
Oh, no, I said thank you.
Oh, okay. So, what was that first internship like for you?
My very first internship, I was 18 years old, and before I was working in corporate, I was working at Zaxby's. So that was the other prior work experience I had, was either working in women's shoes or retail. So this was my very first corporate experience, and it was a big change. My very first internship, I learned a lot about corporate structure, office politics, as well as how to really network. It was that ground internship that really laid the foundations Although the work I was doing, it was IT support, but it still was in a corporate environment. I was able to really just pick up the ropes from there. And I felt like that learning foundation is what helped a lot later down the road.
So do you think, I'm assuming after that first internship, you went back to the career fair at your school to get the Boston Consulting Group intern, or did you attend the diversity conference?
Neither. So, and how I got Boston Consulting Group was just simply applying at the right moment. It was on hand. It was on our school portal on Handshake, and I just applied. And funny enough, the recruiter told me that so many people see Boston Consulting Group and they will be afraid to apply, so they won't end up applying. So I was actually the very first applicant, and they reviewed my resume first. They interviewed me first, and I got the offer. And it was just because I was proactive enough to see, checking recently, seeing what posts just got posted. And she said I was the first one in a week, and they decided to just interview me. So that's how I landed at Boston Consulting Group in Atlanta.
Okay, so that was just timing, really.
Yes, it was timing.
So what was an internship like at a consulting company? I know I have some friends in the consulting world where they, travel on Monday, come back on Thursday. So what is it like for an intern? Is it the same thing or is it a little different?
So since I was based in their Atlanta office, it was a little different. I wasn't traveling, but I still got to really observe the life of a consultant. I got to see what the consultants around me were living, and they were traveling, they were going place to place. But just seeing that lifestyle, seeing what the image or the work I possibly think I want to do was a good first step. Being an intern at the firm was really great. Um, the work was a good workload. You learned a lot. Don't get me wrong, but and most importantly, you learned what a consultant is, because when you ask someone what's a consultant, really can explain it to you the best terms. But after I worked at BCG, I understood what a consultant was, what the responsibilities and the lifestyle that comes with it.
Yeah, what was the culture like at Boston Consulting Group?
It was the best culture, hands down. I really loved Boston Consulting Group. The culture was amazing. I couldn't remember before pre-COVID. It was, since they're right across the street from my campus at Georgia State. I used to just even go out there to just study on my free time, or even just hang out there and just network on my free time. It's just because they were right across the street from my college. So it was just amazing. I loved my time there, and I would all I'll always have them in mind. So yeah, it was cool.
So after that, you went to Amazon Web Services, right?
Correct.
Okay, so how were you able to get that opportunity, and what made you interested in Amazon
Yes.
US?
So with AWS, I saw a good opportunity when I was reading about cloud and how cloud computing was going to be the next big thing. And like I said, I'm really active on Handshake. When I was really searching for roles, I didn't take the go to the, I wasn't going to career fairs, or I was, but since I go to a non-target school, the career fairs were really limited. Since I live in the Atlanta area, I always say we live in a bubble. We have Spelman, Morehouse, Clark Atlanta. We have a lot of big schools in our proximity. So when you have Georgia Tech and all those other big schools around, it makes it really hard. So Georgia State's kind of career fairs are kind of small. So that's how I was able to make sure I applied through Handshake. And once I applied to Handshake to Amazon, I was mostly able to just, I would say it was just, I submitted my application and I just hope for the best. I get really lucky sometimes. I'm explaining how lucky I'm getting, but right now I was getting really lucky at the time. I submitted my application, and then it went through and I got interviewed. And that's how I landed at Amazon.
So Handshake has been your bread and butter.
Handshake has been my bread and butter. I really recommend using Handshake and making sure you always stay up to date on Handshake.
Yeah. So when do you start looking for opportunities on Handshake? Are you just going on there like year round, or are you only in the fall, or is there like a best time to start looking at Handshake for opportunities?
Yes. So I have like a little, I would say, system or cycle. I always say when you're on Handshake, make sure You first start within the fall. The fall, I would say early August. It depends what industry you're trying to get into. If it's for consulting, investment banking, sales and marketing, understand what role or what function you want to get into. If it's for investment banking, I would say you need to start as early as for 2022 now. You need to start early as now. Back then it could be in the summer, but now they're pushing up investment banking, so check handshake regularly now. And if it's for, I would say consulting, check the fall, and then spring for sales and marketing. So I just knew what when they started recruiting for certain roles, and that's when I just went on handshake.
And then, so tell me about AWS. Were you also in Atlanta for that? And then how did AWS compare to your previous internships?
So the thing was, AWS was great. It was virtual, so I didn't really get the full experience being in Seattle. But what I can say with AWS was the work was great. I really learned a lot. Compared to all my other internships, I learned a lot of transferable knowledge at AWS, and that has helped me so far with just, I would say, not only from recruiting, but also from just a technical aspect. Working at AWS was one of the best choices I've made in my college career.
How was the virtual environment, having an internship virtually? How were you able to connect with other employees and network and connect with other interns? Like, did they have like activities for you all to participate in after work? Like, what was that virtual internship experience like for those who aren't aware?
They had water cooler breaks. So the best thing about it was they made time on our schedules to meet with other interns. And to remind you, Amazon hosted 4,000 interns that summer. So having the chance to have water cooler breaks was the best thing to meet other interns.
Aja has a question in the chat.
Yes, the question, what are some tips to reach out to recruiters to get your first internship, especially the big tech, especially that don't reply? Okay, so some tips I would say is it depends on how you're reaching out. When I first didn't really have knowledge on how to reach out to a recruiter, I would just tell them, I want to work here, this and that. No, I always say whenever you jump into a pool, you never just jump. Well, some people just jump in. I don't know. But I usually stick my toe in and then get into the pool and then jump in. So I think it's the same thing whenever you start messaging recruiters, talk to them and just see if you can just schedule a one-on-one. If you're trying to get your first internship at a big tech, you got to realize these recruiters are getting tons of emails, requests. They're getting out there. So what's going to make you stand out for them to want to schedule a one-on-one with you? That's what you got to think of. Talk about talk about something you want to schedule one-on-one. You saw this role. If you can message a recruiter, tell them the role, tell them why you're interested, and tell them times you're available to talk on a one-on-one. I guarantee you 80% chance they will respond versus just sending a random connect. So those are some tips I can give to someone who wants to reach out to a recruiter for their first internship at a big tech.
Yeah, I always recommend not having that initial ask and that first communication, like, hey, I'm looking for an internship. Like, try to review their profile, especially if you're on LinkedIn. Go to the recruiter's profile, review their profile, find a commonality between you and them, and try to add value to them. Like, oh, I see you like doing X, Y, Z. I can connect you with so and so. Or have you ever thought of this? Like, try to build a relationship first, and then go in for the ask after that, because like Michael said, these recruiters, especially in the virtual environment, they're getting so many messages, so many requests. So you don't want to be just another student sending a message. You definitely want to stand out in that process as well. So Michael, you worked at Boston Consulting Group in the spring term, right?
Yes.
And then right after that, you did AWS over the summer.
Yes.
And now you're at US Bank. Did you start US Bank in the fall, like August, September, or when did you start?
I got in January.
Oh, you started in January. Okay, so you were working, but you were in school the entire time, like all of last year while you were working at AWS while you were working. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so tell us about that, because I know I've seen a lot of students post on LinkedIn about how they, have an internship in the spring, summer, and fall, and just taking a year to work. But I guess since we're virtual, it's easier to continue classes that way as well. But it also may affect your graduation date. So can you talk a little bit about that and how, students can make decisions on if they want to push their graduation date back, or how you've gone about it?
Yeah, so how I gone about it was I saw it as an opportunity to really understand what more I want to do or what career I want to get into. And let's just say freshman year of college, I wanted to be an NFL player. Sophomore year, I wanted to be a computer scientist. Then junior year, consultant. Then my fourth year, I love tech sales. So I can just say fifth year, you really just never know, or that extended pushback, you never know what you're gonna find different. I feel like those last 2 years of college, you really see a sense of what you want to do. And I would say now is the best time to take that opportunity to extend. On top of that, we're in the middle of a pandemic. So I feel like this would be more than a better time to extend and explore your options of what you want to do. And that's how I gone about it. I took the pros, and there wasn't really that many cons since I was still doing a spring co-op. I was able to take part-time classes and work as well. And it was a really good idea because not only did I gain experience, but I'm also getting one step closer to thinking, okay, this is what I see myself doing after college. I know sometimes we feel like we need to have everything done, have a plan, have a script, what we need to do. But sometimes it just feels good to just try new things and really see what you want to do now. And things can change. So that's how I went about that.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because I know it took me 5 years to go through college, but some people are really strict about 4 years, and I'm sure finances plays a big part in that. But internships and co-ops are so important. It definitely, like you said, allows you to try different industries, try different roles, figure out what you like, what you don't like. Like that's the whole point of it. So I know you've had a wide range of experiences, from consulting to cloud computing, now to banking. So you're able to touch a few different things, which is awesome. So congrats on that. It's definitely super useful when it's time to sign a dotted line and really commit yourself to a company for a full-time role. So that's super important. So your job at US Bank, what do you do now, at US Bank?
So I'm an internal consultant at US Bank. I'm an innovation analyst. And what I do is I work in their startup hub, their startup hub here in Atlanta. And I make sure I design from the beginning to the end process to when a company or when we're looking at a startup and how US Bank can, I would say, how they can not monetize, but how they can benefit from that about buying this startup or implementing these ideas from this startup. And I just, that's what I do now. Making sure I'm in the design process, the making sure I can analyze what can be positive about this acquisition, and that's about it.
So did you also get the US Bank opportunity from Handshake?
Let's see. No, it's funny because I got US Bank actually through LinkedIn. Um, I saw the post, and it's funny because the thing with US Bank, what makes it different was I knew the recruiter, and that gives me to a good next point. Whenever you don't get a role, don't just think it's quitting over. I actually applied for the role last year and I didn't get it, but the recruiter stayed in contact with me. So again, this year, he reached out to me when they had openings and I was able to get the role. But initially, I interviewed last year and didn't get it, but then this year I got it.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. And that's another point I try to emphasize. Like, if you are applying for a role and you don't get the role, always keep in touch with the recruiter, whether it's like a quarterly check in or you're just updating them on, hey, I just wanted to just keep in touch and let you know, like, give you an update on what I'm doing. I was able to get an internship, or I'm working at XYZ now. Still would love to keep your company in mind for next year. Just always keep that relationship going and continue to build that rapport with the recruiter, because like Michael said, you just never know, what additional opportunities could come up. Maybe another intern may decline at the last minute and they need to fill that role. So always keep in touch, continue to keep in touch with the recruiter, not messaging them like every week, but definitely like every couple months or so. Just go ahead and check in so that they remember your name. So if something comes up, they'll definitely reach out. So are there any communities that you're a part of, like Slack channels or groups on LinkedIn for students where they post different opportunities or anything besides Handshake?
The best one I can think, I'm a part of two main groups that have helped my career so much, and that is Management Leadership of Tomorrow and SEO, which you both have to apply to. And I would say those have been the two biggest impacts to my growth. As a college student, professionally, it's been the best two things to ever join. I got to not only meet other not other not only did I get to meet other students, but also students who are over 500 other students from different universities across the United States who are also looking to break into corporate, also trying to grow professionally. That's what those groups are for. And SEO is tailored for a lot of investment banking roles, a lot of consulting roles, as well as tech roles. While Management Leadership Tomorrow has from tech, consulting, finance, HR, everything. And they've both been an amazing growth to me. I got into them my junior year of college, and ever since then, it's been just amazing being a part of those two groups. The students make MLT amazing because they're the ones who post the newest opportunities when something's coming out. Being a part of something that big has just been an amazing thing to be a part of.
I'm so glad you touched on that because I do want to touch on MLT. I see, Enrique, you have your hand raised. Did you have a question? Okay.
Yeah, I had a question. Mike, well, it was kind of add to it, or I'm not really sure. Well, I did talk to, there was a recruiter I applied to, but sometimes I just don't know. I still haven't responded to them because I just don't know how to be professional, not sound like a robot, and be friendly.
Yeah. And they reached out to you, a recruiter reached out to you.
Oh, no, no. I reached out to them. I sent a message and they sent a message back, but I haven't replied.
But what did they
I'm a little
say?
bit nervous.
What did they say in the
I haven't checked it. I haven't checked it. I'm nervous.
don't be nervous. Like, just remember, recruiters are human just like all of us, right? So you reached out to them for a reason, right? So just be confident, know exactly what you want, know you're be confident about your skill set, be able to, talk about how you can add value to the company, how you are a great person for this particular role. The awesome thing, I mean, the hardest part is getting a response back, and you already have that. So now it's just easy at this point. So yeah, don't be afraid to write back. I mean, you are probably one of the few students who actually got a response back. So um, yeah,
Thank you.
you can let's connect offline, and I can help you with your response back to the recruiter. But congrats on getting the response.
Yeah, that's a really big getting a response now, especially a lot of places. I'm not going to say they're not giving responses back, but since they're getting overflow with so many requests, a lot of people aren't getting a response. So that's really good that you heard back.
So Michael, so can you talk a little bit more about MLT? So I know about their MBA prep program, but can you talk more about their program for current undergraduate students and what the application process is, how the program is, what it helps you, how it helps you for the future?
Yes. So first is MLT is like an 18-month professional development. I'm not gonna say course, but it's a development track for juniors in college. You have to be an undergrad junior. And I'm pretty sure their applications might close. They usually close between January and February. And what MLT does is they provide, let's say, they provide you access to their partners. And MLT partners can be companies such as Google, Bain, BCG, all the big top companies from JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, anything you can think of, they all have MLT partners that work with the students in the cohort, and they select those students for internships and even post MLT or post undergrad. They have full time roles for those college students in MLT. It's a wonderful program where it really gets you connected to all different aspects of industries in corporate, and it's a really good program that every college student I believe should take a part of or take the advantage of getting into if they have the opportunity. And that sums up what MLC is. It's a really an amazing program.
Cool. Yeah, I've heard so many good things about MLT, nothing but good things. So definitely check it out. I put the Management Leaders of Tomorrow. You can just put that in Google and it should pop up. I think it's mlt.org, their website, if you all want to learn more about it. So you mentioned LinkedIn earlier. So can you talk more about, how students can benefit from using LinkedIn, how it's benefited you, advice for students who are just passive users on LinkedIn and just the importance of it, especially now that everything's virtual?
Yes, so this is my favorite topic. LinkedIn is very important in many ways. First, I would say now that everything's virtual, everybody's home, so that means they're more accessible. Before, oh, I'm not in the office, I'm at home. Now everyone's at home. Now LinkedIn's always going to be that tab that's open whenever they're working. They're going to always have LinkedIn up. So this gives you to your advantage to schedule coffee chats, schedule one-on-one meetings. It makes it easier because everything's virtual. And the thing what made LinkedIn so special was I every time I met someone or was trying to find someone on LinkedIn, I used certain tactics to make sure either if they didn't find me, I found them. And that gives me to another good topic with LinkedIn. Before, I would say 5, 6 years ago, there was when you're trying to reach out to, I would say, the recruiter of a job, you couldn't just reach out. Now with LinkedIn, they have certain tools that can help you search for who you're looking for from a company. You can go on LinkedIn and type in Microsoft and then type in recruiter of Microsoft, and it's going to show you the recruiter. You have the option to reach out to them, tell them who you are. That has never been like that ever before. So I feel like that was always been a that I feel like that has been what made LinkedIn so useful and has been able to really push recruiting to a new level.
Yeah, I definitely agree. You can definitely use the LinkedIn search bar just like a Google search bar. So if you're interested in Google, you can just put Google hiring, or you put your major, I'm sorry, computer science hiring, marketing hiring, and find opportunities and be able to filter by people or a post or different groups you can join. Like, the opportunities are endless on LinkedIn. So if you're not using LinkedIn, definitely start on LinkedIn. Y'all have any questions?
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
Um, when reaching out to a recruiter for internship role that you want, what is like as an example of something that I should say? Like, what should I say? Like, is it like my name? What school I go to? My major? Do I keep it short and sweet? Like, how do I approach them in the most effective manner? Would be my question.
Yeah,
Could you? And my connection was in and out.
yeah. Crystal's asking, like, when she reaches out to a recruiter, how should she approach them? What,
How did
what
you
should
approach?
what should she say?
What should she say? So here's how I always, I always call it code emailing. First is, I think another thing I always tell people is since I'm in sales, it makes it slightly easier to cold call or code email because I got really used to it. And I always tell people the tactic I always have is just saying, introducing who you are, just like how you would walk right past me or meet me at a coffee shop. Hey, my name is so and so and so. I go to Georgia State University. This is what I study. I study computer information systems. I'm very interested in this role. I would love to talk one on one this week if you're free. And here are some of the times I'm available. That has worked for me 90%. I've not, like, it's only been 10% of the times I haven't heard back. I've used that almost all the time and it's worked. One thing I always tell people is don't put fluff and don't give them your whole life story. They're only going to read the first 10 to 15 seconds of it. They're going to skim through it, see what you want, and they're going to read it. But don't tell them your whole life story. This is what you do. No, they want to know. It's like they want you to get to the point and know, like, how can they help you. So whenever you're trying to reach out to someone, I always say yes. You don't want to start going direct. I need a job, this, that, but also just be, I would say, be concise when you make sure you reach out to someone and really show that you're really trying to learn what they do. If you can send a message to someone, I really would love to know more about what you do at your company and love to schedule one-on-one to see if that aligns with my interest. Boom. That's something perfect I always tell people to reach out to and say to people.
Yeah, definitely make it about them in your message. And like Michael said, keep it short and sweet. Nobody has time to read a whole like thesis. Yeah,
And
just keep
then
it short and sweet and get straight to the point.
another thing is, people love to talk about themselves, which is a good thing. Everyone, if you give someone the time to shine and put the light on them, they're gonna want to talk. So just remember that. Let's always say, if you give someone the spotlight, if you give them the microphone, they will talk the whole time. And at the end of it, you can talk your way into an internship. So that's always something to keep in mind.
Does that help, Crystal?
Yes, that was perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no
No
problem.
problem.
Does anybody else have any questions? Michael, can you talk about attending a non-target school? You know, if we pre-COVID, like these big companies that a lot of students want to work at, they don't have recruiting teams that go to your school. Like you were talking about, they'll
Yeah.
go to the Georgia Tech, they'll go to the University of Georgia. So, I mean, you mentioned, you know, using LinkedIn, using Handshake. Um, but what advice from a confidence level and a skill set level do you have for students attending non-target schools so that they can know that those opportunities also exist for them?
Best thing I would say is start at the small. I'm not gonna say start the small internships. I would say spend a lot of time networking. If you're at a smaller school where, like give an example how I was saying that Google's always coming to Georgia Tech's recruiting fair, and Georgia Tech is only 1 mile from my school. Google doesn't really come to my school, or maybe they just started coming not too long ago. But as a non-target school, what I had to learn was I had to build skills, and skills that made me more desirable. And on top of that, I had to make sure I was on top of my networking. I made sure networking was something I always kept at the top. I had a goal of making sure I connected with at least 30 new either recruiters or people in general a month. And I kept that up for 12 months straight. I would say it was a lot of people, but it's something, a number I held, and it helped me when I was really trying to navigate to which company I wanted to work at. Being able to really connect with that many people a month was was the best thing ever. So if you're going to a non-target, the best thing I could say is really spend a lot of time honing on your skills and connecting, networking. I can't stress that enough. Networking is truly the key, especially if you're at a non-target. The little things such as going to the virtual chats, grabbing their LinkedIn's. If you really want to separate yourselves from anyone, go to a virtual coffee chat with a company and connect with them and send them a note on LinkedIn. You're going to separate yourself from 90% of people who attended that meeting. Things like those is what gets you the job, what gets you the internship.
Yeah, I definitely agree 100% with everything you just said. So I think we're at the end of our time. Michael, thank you so much again for sharing your story. Thank you everybody for joining. Michael, how can people contact you if they have additional questions?
Yes. Please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. Attach a note that hey, I attended the event and you wanted to chat. Always feel free to. That's my just attach my name on LinkedIn.
Thanks so much, everyone, again. Definitely go follow Student Career Studio. If you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to me as well. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight.